Good evening, everybody. Thanks for taking some time during happy hour. Glad to see many of you grabbed a beer and some food, and thanks for taking time out of your day to talk to us about career and about Microsoft Learn. Hopefully you guys had a chance to see some of the announcements during today's keynotes. And we're going to definitely talk about and get into a demo of Microsoft Learn, but we wanted to take a moment before we do that to really talk about how does this all fit in with my broader career, and what are some tips and strategies we've learned through our careers and through research groups and studies that help to accelerate that process. My name is James Denyer. I've been with Microsoft since February, and prior to that, I spent a 20-year career in a lot of the roles you might have in enterprise technology. So I spent 14 years at REI, worked at Starbucks, and evolved as an engineer into a leader. And one of my favorite things to do as a leader is help mentor individuals and teams through career transformations and growth, and also taking teams through transformations into cloud. And so I'm really passionate about this topic, and I've been really excited to come to work for Microsoft and take my passion and put that to scale. With me today is Erin Rifkin, and she's going to run through the demo. We both work within Microsoft in an organization called Azure Platform Evangelism and Experiences. And so our whole goal is to give you, as our customers, the tools and experiences you need to be successful leveraging our products. So I'm going to paint the context a little bit about why is it so hard these days to keep up and the rate of change going on in the world. And obviously you've heard a lot of companies are talking about the transformation of cloud, the transformation of digital, and the rate of change, and I'm sure all of you are aware how difficult that can be. As amazing as it is that we're advancing our products and technologies almost every day, it can feel really challenging and daunting as technologists to keep up with that change. And that problem seems to be getting worse and worse every year. As I reflect back to my career, I used to get the TechNet bundle of CD-ROMs that taught me everything I needed to know about Microsoft technologies. Before that, I was reading 400-page books. And I had the luxury of taking time to do that because there was a 3-year life cycle of our products. And so I could learn the technology, I could study it, I could get up to speed, I could get into and build lab environments. And then I would have like 10 years with that product to get proficient with it. And how do you do all of that when the products are changing every day? And that's just a tremendous problem, and it puts a lot of strain and pressure on our careers. Not only that, but you've got the pressure to learn. At the same time, you're keeping the platforms you all have to maintain and operate, alive every day. You're carrying pagers, you're getting, Sev 1 outages, and so how are you expected to kind of put all this together? So we're going to talk about some of the investments Microsoft is making to help you be successful, but we want to, again, talk about a little bit more of the soft skill side, like what are the things we see as points of differentiation in people who take on certain behaviors and focus in certain areas, some technical and some not, that help to really put them at the forefront. And we see some of these principles and soft skills as being the keys to basically investing in yourself and escalating and transforming your career. Microsoft we do a lot of deep research into these sorts of problem statements. Not only do we talk to our customers, we conduct focus groups and studies. And a study we conducted almost a year ago was really focused around the growth of traditional IT roles and what do these roles look like in the future. And so we did a lot of work around all of that, and we came up with some really core themes that are the sort of standing out principles behind that. And so I wanted to talk through all of these and see if they resonate with you. And first and foremost, to me, this is the one that I felt was, if I think about my career and if I reflect back on, what has been the difference in how I've accelerated, to me, it's been about adopting an intellectual curiosity or growth mindset. Sometimes we like to call it internally. And for me, what that's been about is just taking the opportunity to, as hard as my day is, thinking about what's ahead and taking the time to actually think about where technology is heading and how do I then position myself and my skills to take on more challenging work, to adopt and toy around with and use technologies that are not quite maybe standard in my enterprise, but how do I think about Docker? How do I think about DevOps and think about some of the things ahead of time? And I still think that's been one of the core things I do. And as I've coached and mentored individual engineers or leads or even managers of my team, I think this is a mindset shift that is a super important part about accelerating your career. And then kind of into the little bit more tactical. For folks who maybe you're in enterprise where you're still using a lot of on-premise technologies, maybe your company hasn't started to make those investments, but you know this is all coming. These are a little more tactical side of things. If you're not thinking about embracing Linux and open source, even if you're a Windows developer or a Windows admin, you need to be thinking about the world is gravitating towards more of these open source platforms. And not to say you have to transition yourself to be a Linux admin overnight, but you should start to think about at least getting your hands dirty and starting to explore some of these technologies. The other big theme that hopefully you're already thinking a lot about is just the world of automation. So at scale, you're going to really need to be thinking about maybe not transitioning, of course, all the way to becoming a developer, but you need to start thinking about how do I apply automation to the work I do. That automation is very important, not only for consistency and keeping reliability in the environments you configure and maintain and manage, but it's a key skill set as we move into more cloud-based roles. Another, and some of you may or may not find yourself in these roles where you're supporting development environments, but at least to think about and understand what does continuous integration mean. And actually, a lot of continuous integration concepts, tools, processes can be applied to workflows that have nothing to do with maybe development. It could be about maintaining tools that you use in your day-to-day to manage and maintain your systems. And then lastly, and we're going to have a demo here, we're going to talk about a cool product that we've launched this week called Microsoft Learn. And there are these free resources Microsoft has now made in investing in all of you to accelerate your career. The other part of that study and why we wanted to include this, not only you guys will have access to these slides on the portal, is sometimes I think as technologists, and I certainly have had this in my world, I focus a lot on the technical skills because I'm a geek and I like to learn and I just love to sort of build proficiency there. But when I became more of a lead and an architect and manager, I realized there's a lot of soft skills involved in the process. And so it's not enough to just focus 100% on the technical side of your skill set. It's really important to think about some of the soft skills that you use on a day-to-day basis, about building more of a business mindset. How do you put yourself into the mind of your business users, your company, think about the goals, understand some of those business concepts. I think it helps all of us make better decisions as technologists. How do we work on our communication skills? I mean, that's a hard one that in isolation, you may not have to use those tools every day, but a lot of folks that I've seen where they feel like they're stuck in their career, we've realized, hey, this is a lot about how do I communicate better, and how do I become someone who has sort of a way with words, whether it's in speaking, in writing, et cetera. And these are sometimes soft skills that as technologists, we just feel like we never have the time for. Innovation, and I find innovation creativity to be a part of the first tenet I talked about in terms of intellectual curiosity. How do I take advantage of participating in events outside of my organization or hosting things like a hackathon? What are simple ways that I can explore other technologies and think about the innovative ways those technologies might benefit my company. And critical thinking, I think that kind of goes without saying, but how do I continue to evolve that skill set and again, not just focus on technology? And entrepreneurship is a fascinating one. It's like, put yourself into the mind, if I was the owner of this company or the sole decision maker, what are some of the things I might do to improve the world around me instead of just feeling like I'm stuck with what I have? And then functionally, if you haven't thought about what the world of product management looks like, project management, these are just all skills that I would recommend thinking about or investing in yourself. They help round you out as a technologist. And then again, if I look back on these soft skills, I'd say these are the things where if I see these or find people that are investing in these areas, you find them accelerating their careers much more fast than anyone else. And then again, technical skills, we're going to jump into that more in the demo, but these are obviously some of the new things if you're not thinking about them, if you're not exploring them, testing them out in your own world, I would encourage you to think about them. We're going to talk about the platform that can help enable that.
So as James mentioned, we launched Microsoft Learn today. It's 100% free, and we're going to walk you through a demo of what that looks like. Microsoft believes that education is really important for our customers to be able to adopt and grow and upskill for their careers. So we feel like we should be able to provide multiple modalities of learning that people are really interested in taking. So James mentioned, some people like to read books. Some people like to look at online documentation or just want to get their hands dirty. They give me the sample code, let me try it, let me just go do it and see what happens. And so we've invested in a new type of learning called micro-learning, which is, we all know you have busy schedules, you don't have time, you just want to tell me how to solve the problem, tell me how to do the task that I need to do today. And so Microsoft Learn's really focused in just these really short, task-based, hands-on learning. So we're going to jump in and give you a tour. There we go. So this is the Microsoft Learn homepage. Microsoft Learn is microsoft.com/learn. It's actually built on docs.microsoft.com. So where you can get access to your technical documentation, your sample code, your API ref, you can also get access to learning. And so the Microsoft Learn homepage really talks about the fact that our content is based off of roles. So we want to help you not only upskill in the job that you have or in the product that you need to use, but also be prepared for certifications if that's something that you want to do or your company is willing to pay for. So all of our content is mapped towards the certifications that were launched today for Azure Developer, Solutions Architect, and Administrator. We have content from Business Applications Group, and there'll be exams coming soon for those as well in the Power Platform. And we'll have more content from Microsoft, coming out on a regular basis. If you follow Docs on Twitter or on our blog, you'll see the new content as it goes live. So the site really covers, just some things that you want to jump into potentially around Azure or BAG, Business Applications Group. But we also provide additional links for free Pluralsight content. So as I said, the multimodality, you can do Docs, you can do micro-learning through Microsoft Learn, you can do video training through Pluralsight, which we also offer for free from Microsoft, as well as content through LinkedIn Learning, and there's access to the certifications here. You'll find the same thing for Dynamics below here, as well as more information if those aren't your products at all, but you want to find training that Microsoft has available. It's right here at the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and show you what a module looks like. So we have learning paths that are by role, product, or scenario. So you can think of those of like solutions or cool technology that you are interested in trying out. So this is a module for Introduction to Azure, and so it'll kind of walk you through a little bit about how the platform works and some of the hands-on technology that we have. So you'll just notice there's some check marks because those are units that James has already gone through, but you can see that they're only 1 to 7 minutes. You can jump into any one you want. So we don't require you to finish the module start to finish. You can just jump into the thing that you're super interested in. But for every one that you complete, you get points, and your points increase your level. We also have achievements for even completing modules or learning paths, which we'll show you. So we'll go ahead and jump into one. So there's a variety of different content, and it's written differently than the way our Docs content is. It's more friendly and fun. And so there's documentation or written language here in some of them. We also have videos that are 1 to 3 minutes, and they are starring our cloud developer advocates. So there's animations that help you understand some of the more complex topics, as well as just interesting faces to see that have quite a following in their communities. And this is an example of some of the hands-on interactivity we have. So there's a few different things you can do. This is Azure Cloud Shell. We also have portal integration as well. So in this particular case, you have an option to choose between Windows and Linux. We went ahead and ran this command earlier so that we could get the VM going, but James will show you how this actually works.
Yeah, that's great. So within the browser, no code, nothing to download, all an in-browser experience, we have now the Cloud Shell. And if you haven't explored this is a feature that's been around for a little while on the Docs platform. But effectively, I've got either a Bash shell or PowerShell access into Azure to run commands, to manipulate resources. And in the context of Microsoft Learn, we've provided this free to you. So we actually manage subscription, we provide a resource group, and then we put you into that group to facilitate the learning exercise. So again, it's very simple to get into, it's super easy, there's no credit card, there's no advanced sign up. You do have to have an MSA and accept some simple terms, but from there you're good to go.
And technically, you're not even required to sign in unless you really do want to use access to our resources, or if you want to get your achievements or your points. So 100% free. You won't be able to run any resources you want. They are bound to what our particular module is trying to teach you, but there's a variety of these throughout all of our content. So the other cool thing we do, we want to be able to validate if you learned the concept that we're trying to teach you. And so we have a really cool way to do this on the back end. So we can check your work, make sure that you ran the command as we taught you, and then you can continue. So you can see we got some experience points for that. And you'll be able to continue through this. There's other knowledge checks as well. So there's some questions and answers. We give you tips and tricks along the way related to those. So he's going to select a wrong answer. So you can see we give you a tip here to help you get the right one, but we even give you tips on additional information you may want to know about the right answer. And then our summary just kind of talks to you a little bit about what you learned, but we also provide you cleanup steps. So if you want to do this in your own subscription and just try it out because you want to leave that stuff running, you can do that, but we also tell you how to clean it up from your Azure subscription. And then you'll be able to, because you didn't finish this one. So it would give you a badge here. You'd have to run the scale up. So there's a couple other steps in this one, which is why it's not. But when you do click on that, it will show you your badge, and you can do social sharing through Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So you can share that with your network that you've been able to complete it. So all you have to do, and actually we've got a bunch of cool swag down at the Microsoft Learn booth down there. So if you're interested in learning more, you can sign up for an account and get a t-shirt and a cool plushie, which I'll show you. This is our browse page. You have an opportunity to filter here by role or by technology that you're interested in. So it gives you access to a variety of different content. And as I said, this content set will grow over time. And this is just an example so you can get an idea on a learning path. So you can jump in and out at any point. You can just take a module or you can go end to end. So whether or not you have 5 minutes or several hours, there's something for everybody here. So we kind of want to open it up to questions. If you guys have any questions from us, we also brought some swag for you guys here.
Will it be a replacement for the Virtual Academy?
Yeah, so he asked if it's going to be a replacement for the Virtual Academy. So Microsoft Learn is really going to end up being the one-stop shop for Microsoft Learning. So we're going to be working towards bringing the Virtual Academy content into Learn. M365 will have content in Learn. So this, just keep paying attention to this site because you'll see more and more stuff coming up.
It is videos only, or is it interaction?
No, it's interaction. So there's text, there's videos, there's live interactive scripting and coding, there's Portal, and it's all free.
So we get Pluralsight with MSD and subscription. So is this integrated with Pluralsight as well?
It's not integrated with Pluralsight today, but you do have access to the Pluralsight content as well as Microsoft Learn. And if you go to the Microsoft.com WAC Learn page, you'll get access to your Pluralsight from there as well.
Hey, Aaron, I think we have some questions on this side too.
Hi, what's the relationship to the Dynamics Learning Portal? Is that going to go away?
What was the question?
He said, what is the relationship with the Dynamics Learning Portal? So yes, the Dynamics content will be moving into Microsoft Learn. There's some content available today, but that will continue to grow.
Do you have to have the Pluralsight subscription to get to the Pluralsight content, or do you have access to all Pluralsight?
So the question was about what's available through the Pluralsight account. So the only free training for Pluralsight is the Azure content. But if you have a Pluralsight account, there's access to additional training like learning Python or other types of developer-focused content.
Yeah, today we have about 80 courses on Pluralsight focused on Azure. So if that's, again, your preference is for video-based content, it's available.
Can I use any of this when I'm on my way on the plane home, or do I have to be online all the time?
So the question was whether or not the content is accessible offline. So it is not currently offline available, though that is something that we are going to be working towards. You can use it on the plane if you have Wi-Fi, but you will not be able to do the interactivity unless you're on an actual computer. There's just not enough screen space to be able to do that.
And keeping in mind the interactive components, you're actually talking to Azure. So you're in an Azure subscription, you're issuing commands, and you have to be made available to do that. It is our goal, though, to have the learning content and the video content in offline mode. Yeah.
But it is available on mobile.
Do we need an Azure subscription for learning?
For this site, you do not need an Azure subscription. So when we were in that interactive cloud shell, we actually give you basically we let you borrow our managed subscription, and so it's based off policy and time. So whatever resources you need to launch for that particular learning are free to you within that sandbox. So they won't be in your subscription; they're going to be in ours.
The only requirement, you have to have an ID that's MSA enabled or an AAD, and then again, once you authenticate request the sandbox experience, we issue that for you. Yeah.
Will this include the AI school as well, or that's a separate resources?
AI School actually worked with us to get one of the modules in here, and they're going to be moving their content over as well. So this is just the beginning for us.
Just wanted to know, does the points count towards certification?
The points do not count towards certification, but the goal would be, so part of our greater organization is the Cloud Developer Advocacy Team as well as the MVP RD program. So long term, we want to be able to use points on either content or training to go towards some of those types of things. So there will be some new stuff coming up in that regard soon.
Is this designed for individuals, or can I assign trainings to my staff as well?
Yeah, so today it's for individuals, but you could create take a set of the links that you want them to be able to take for learning. But long term, we would like to be able to allow you to make playlists or something like that, kind of like you can do on Pluralsight.
That's great. Yeah, and as Aaron mentioned, we have an entire learning experience area set up just a little bit that way, past the lights. If you've gone to the screens, you've gone too far. But we have a lot of awesome swag. We've got a claw machine where if you sit down and go through a module, get your achievement, you get a shot at a claw machine that will get you this awesome Docs character.
And a really cool t-shirt.
We've got little Velcro badges to put on that, including a limited edition red shirt badge, which I think is pretty cool. So we could do that. And then again, you'll get a t-shirt as well out of a vending machine. We've got folks that'll talk you and walk you through demos of the experience. Happy to answer more questions. A special maybe ask I'd make of any of you who are leaders in your organization. I think one of the most empowering things you could do walking away from this event would be to send these resources to your team. Not just the links, but giving them the permission for the time to do it. And maybe that's as simple as creating like an hour over lunch and saying, hey team, I want to get together with you, show you these amazing tools Microsoft provided, but also give you the time and the opportunity and the space to learn. And sometimes that permission as leaders is something that's really, really important to our teams. So thanks for spending some time with us, and we'll be here to answer more questions. Feel free to stop up.
And if you guys want some swag.
Oh yeah, we've got some swag too. Get some stickers, get some socks.